It's Levack and Goz on 104.5 The Team.
Divisional round of the NFL playoffs is this weekend, and again, I cannot stress enough that the best way to get your weekend really rolling, is to join us over at the Rusty Nail. We are going to be there starting at 4 o'clock on Saturday. It is going to be an absolute blast. Great food, ice cold Bud Lights. Somebody's winning a trip for two to the Super Bowl.
The Super Bowl. Super Bowl 52, right here from New York State. You go to the Rusty Nail, you have a chance to go to the big game. How awesome is that?
Somebody who probably has a chance to go to the big game would be Antonio Brown. That's if he's 100% and healthy, going out to Pittsburgh. Our friend Andrew Filipponi from 93.7 The Fan. What is the status of Antonio Brown, sir?
He's sick. He left practice. He had flu-like symptoms. But physically, he's fine. He practiced in full all week.
So we, by all rights, we should get a real Antonio Brown performance out of him as long as he's got fluids.
Is a real Antonio Brown performance one where there's the expectation he has an Antonio Brown game against Jalen Ramsey? I mean, that to me is the heavyweight matchup of this game. It's probably the best wide receiver in the game against probably the best corner in less than ideal conditions. So that's the matchup within the game matchup that I'm looking forward to most.
Andrew, when you look at this game and you flash back to the 30-9 victory that Jacksonville was able to pull off in Pittsburgh, why do you feel this game will be different?
When you say different, do you mean the outcome or the one-sided nature of the game?
The outcome, I guess, because if it's one-sided, the outcome will be the same.
Yeah, I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced that Pittsburgh is going to win the game. For starters, I think the point spread's 7, but for me, it's really a 50-50 game. The easy answer to your question is, well, Ben Roethlisberger, can't and won't throw 5 interceptions, which is true. But I'd be really surprised if he threw 0 interceptions, because that's just the way that this Jacksonville defense plays it. I think that they patched a hole with the Darius trade. I didn't think when he went down there that he would get motivated to play again, and he has. And their run defense has been much better since. My expectation on Sunday, guys, is that it's going to be a really ugly game, and that the first team to get to 17 points will probably win. And I'm not sure right now that team is the Steelers.
Andrew Filipponi joining us right now from 93.7 The Fan on 104.5 The Team.
I know you guys probably had me on and thought that I was going to give you, the Steelers are going to win and why opinion, but I've just had a bad feeling about this game all week since the Bills lost the game. The road to the playoffs, the Steelers, I thought for them the worst road to the Super Bowl was Jacksonville at home and then at New England, and that's exactly what they're going to get.
One of the things that's I don't know if surprise is the right word, but I read this headline yesterday that Le'Veon Bell is talking about his contract. Is that a talking point now in Pittsburgh just 48 hours before the game? Why? Why?
Yeah,
why?
It's one of the most ill-timed, moronic comments to make. This is a guy that his behavior and decision-making had been widely questioned in the past because of all the failed drug tests. And he got pulled over getting high on his way to the airport for an exhibition game a couple of years ago. And, I thought that Bell had at least had become mature enough to know, what to say or when to say it, because he hadn't really run his mouth at all this year. And, of all the kind of moments this team has had where it's created controversy, he'd done a pretty good job of avoiding it. The only exception was after they lost the first Jacksonville game, he came out and ripped Todd Haley for his role in the offense that day. So I made it a talking point. We started, it's a playoff Friday, and we started our show with these comments because it's been an enjoyable season for Steelers fans when you're 13-3, but it has been a highly annoying season because comments or actions off the field continue to dominate, and it's the Steelers players' own doing. It's not a media creation. So I'll tell you what, Tom, I think if they lose the game on Sunday and Bell has another quiet game, because of what he said yesterday, he'll be the most unpopular man in Pittsburgh come Monday morning.
Wow. And that's so interesting to me because the question itself, like we're sitting here in Albany and I hear people asking about Le'Veon Bell's contract. I'm like, why did they even ask that question? Was that surprising to you that this even became a talking point?
No,
okay.
I'll tell you why. And this is something, I mean, I wasn't clairvoyant. I didn't think that, wasn't tipped off that he was going to make these comments. I mean, we spent a lot of yesterday's show talking about what this playoff run means for Bell in terms of his future here. Because he doesn't have a contract after this season. He played it on the franchise tag. And a big reason why the franchise tag made sense is because, you were still probably thinking about his suspensions and also thinking about the fact that he hadn't started and finished the season healthy. He's either been suspended or hurt at the beginning of the season, or he's gotten injured and he's missed the end of the year, like when he was damaged goods in the New England championship game in the AFC championship last year. So, we were talking yesterday about how this year, if he stays healthy through the full season, you probably try to sign him to a long-term contract. So to ask Bell about his future right now and whether or not this is, in his mind, his last game at Heinz Field, I think is a very relevant subject. You just don't expect to get these kinds of quotes or sound bites from a guy. You would think right now he would have, the political correctness to know that making a statement like this is going to be controversial and is probably going to bring unneeded criticism and pressure.
Andrew Filipponi, 93.7 The Fan in Pittsburgh, joining us right now on 104.5 The Team. So you got Le'Veon Bell saying, hey, man, I'll sit out if I have to. Last year going into the season, you didn't know whether Big Ben was going to retire or not. Are we winding down on the current version of the Pittsburgh Steelers?
I think the answer to that question is probably yes. Yeah, I think it's probably yes because you're probably thinking that the smart money is on Roethlisberger giving you 2 more seasons after this one. And so I would say if your window to win with him is this year and 2 more, yeah, it's winding down. I mean, it's probably, though, the only reason why I kind of thought about that question hard at first is because it's probably that way in New England with Brady, too. So, this whole thing here where they've been the team that's blocking you from getting to Super Bowls and maybe even winning Super Bowls, I don't think that this nucleus on offense is going to outlast Brady's time in Foxborough. So I think they've got 3 strikes here. They got one more at bat, guys. They've got this weekend, this playoff run, and then they've got 2 years. And I would think, contrary to what Bell said, chances are good next year you have Ben, Bell, and Brown all back together.
Man, let's talk about the really important one. Ryan Shazier, the hit on the field didn't look. It looked serious, but I never thought it would be this serious. How is he, and what are we hearing?
He's at practices. He's part of their game planning. It's like he's taken on a coach's role here in the last week, and I know his teammates have gotten a big boost. Whether it's inspiration or whether it's allowing them to get more enjoyment out of their workday. We don't know, but he's around. He's in a wheelchair. There's been no long-term diagnosis and recovery timetable that's been given by the team or Ryan's family. I wouldn't expect that to come down anytime soon. I think they're going to kind of keep things private here. And and the whole city and the whole team and maybe possibly even the whole sport is really rallied around the guy. I mean, they'll show him. I would guess he'll be at the game this weekend. They'll show him on the big board at some point. The entire stadium will go crazy for him. I'm sure that one of the things they're talking about as they prepare for this playoff run is winning a Super Bowl for him and being able to get him on the field somehow, in Minneapolis and allow him to put his hands on a Lombardi trophy because he had a big hand in that before his injury. That's definitely a motivation for this team. They're going to try to win a Super Bowl for Ryan Shazier.
You hinted at this earlier in the interview that it may not be an easy go for the Pittsburgh Steelers on Sunday. Give us a prediction. What happens, Jacksonville and Pittsburgh?
I think, oh, man. I think Jacksonville wins. And I hate to be like the Dr. Doom or the or Mr. Negativity, but I just don't like the matchup for them, guys. I think the Jacksonville team has that old formula of playing great defense and running the football. And they did not run the ball well against Buffalo, but the Steelers' defense, if it has a weakness, it's tackling. They are not a stern, strong tackling team. And I think in cold weather, Fournette or Ivory, some combination of those two guys is going to present a major problem for them. So I think it's a nail-biter. I think it's a really close game. I think Jacksonville benefits from winning the turnover battle in time of possession. And I think they win a game like 17-13 or something like that. I think it's just a real miserable game all the way around, and the team with the best defense comes out of it victorious.
He calls them like he sees them. Andrew Filipponi, 93.7 in Pittsburgh, man. We appreciate your time.
All right, guys, but I'll tell you this much. If you interviewed, like, the other 50 guys that either talk on the radio here or cover the Steelers, they would have all told you the Steelers are going to win the game. So congratulations. You found the one guy that's picking Jacksonville.
Well, that's, again, we picked the one guy who's telling the truth as far as we see it, right?
All right, guys.